Hello my bookish lovelies, Kira here, and I am excited about so many books in the month of February because there is just quite a few books that are coming out this month. Given the time that I'm probably going to be getting this video out, most of the books that I've anticipated did come out on February 4th, which this video will be out after that time. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about these stuff in date order that I was really excited about. I am going to go ahead and include February 4th into this because not everybody keeps track of new releases, and I just feel like it would be a better rounded out video if I included everything that I have been excited about this month. Some of the books that I have already acquired that I've really been excited about, I have not gotten a chance to read yet. I am in the middle of doing a little bit of a readathon, plus it is just a lot of, I'm in the middle of like 4 books right now, 3 or 4 books. So as soon as I get to those, I'm hoping to get on to the stuff that I'm really excited for this month. So let's go ahead and start out with February 4th. So the first book that I'm really excited about that's coming out is The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper. This book is about 2 boys who end up having to move away from everything they've known. They have astronauts for parents, and so like they are really kind of like in the limelight and they kind of relate to each other. This is an LGBTQ plus romance and it looks amazing. I've already heard a few things coming out about this from people who are reading this book right now, and they really seem to enjoy it. There were a few negative responses, but overall the responses to this book have been very positive. So I'm very excited to see how I feel about it. I have not yet acquired this book, but I hope to soon. It's just something that I'm really excited for. The next book that I'm really excited about that also comes out on February 4th is All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. This book has a completely different magic system. It's kind of more of a tropical book. It does take place on an island, and Amora Montara has spent her entire life training to become the queen, and you have to be tested. They don't just hand out royalties on this island. Even if she is considered a princess, they don't just hand that out to her. Now, this book is really different from a lot of the other books that I've talked about, and the magic system's a little bit different too, whereas the fact that she actually uses something called soul magic. I'm not really sure what all that entails yet because I haven't read the book, but soul magic itself just sounds really intriguing, and this is kind of like the main character's fight to kind of earn her crown, and I believe that this is going to be the first book in a series, and it's coming out also on February 4th. So the next book that I'm really excited about, and I'm currently in the middle of the 3rd book, is King of Crows. I went ahead and got this. I have actually binged the first 2 books in January. I'm in the middle of the 3rd book right now. And this King of Crows is the last book in the Diviner series by Libba Bray. It is just plain out stunning, for one thing. And also, like, this is going to be wrapping up everything. This is actually set in the late 1920s during the time of Prohibition, and there is just so many amazing characters in this book. I love Sam. Sam is actually one of my favorite characters. If you guys have read the first one, you guys will know like who Sam is, but Sam is kind of like this con artist. He's very shisty, but he's got a good heart. And so like that's one of the things, like the take home message is like, yeah, okay, he steals. He's kind of outwardly a bad guy, but he's also been through a lot of conditions like that have made him very hard and not very receptive to other people. And so like, you know, he kind of finds some friends, and it's just a fun story, and there's a lot of paranormal elements to this which are very well done. This has just the right level of spook to keep me interested, but it's not too scary that like I wake up in the middle of the night where I'm actually having vivid horrific dreams about it. So it's just a great balance of both things. I'm just so excited. Actually, one of the reasons why I started this series in January was because I knew that the last book was coming out, and a big focus for me in 2020 is to try to finish some of the completed series that have already been out. So I'm hoping to get to this before the end of February. These books are very thick. They average around 550 pages on up, each one of them, and they're definitely worth it. Like, I love this whole series. It's so wonderful. The next book that I'm really excited about that came out is Ember Queen by Laura Sebastian. This is the 3rd and final book in the Ash Princess series. I really got addicted to the Ash Princess series back in October when I was doing it for a readathon, and Theodora is our main character. She lives in a kingdom where her mother were killed by the people that invaded this land, and it's really kind of heart-wrenching because she gets really abused for a long time. She's amazingly enough, like for everything that she goes through, she's an extremely resilient character. I really admire, how resilient she is. She also inspires like a lot of courage, and there's a lot of magic system in like this that actually circulates around gemstones, and the gemstones actually serve as a power source and an amplifier for people who have pre-existing magic abilities. So I'm really excited because I've already read the first 2 books in this series. I read them last year, and the reason, like one of the reasons why is because I knew that I wasn't going to have to wait ages for the 3rd book to come in. But this is the 3rd book in the series. This is the last book in the series. They will not be doing any more after this, as far as I know. So very excited about that. Okay, so the last book for February 4th is Things in Jars by Jess Kidd. This is actually a Book of the Month Club book. They had it as an early release, and I ended up going ahead and picking it up because it's more of a historical fiction, like with magical elements to it, and it's kind of got like that Victorian detective vibe to it. And if you guys have seen like how into Stalking Jack the Ripper series I was, then you'll know like this is kind of right up my alley as well. So I'm kind of just really excited for this. And when I saw the Book of the Month, I'm like, okay, well, it's an early release. Hopefully I'll get to it soon. And I hope to have gotten to it before the end of last month, but I still have not yet gotten to it. It seems like every time, like I have like little stacks in my room. I don't know if you guys are like this, but I have like little stacks in my room where I stack up books that I want to read, and then I just kind of keep adding to them. And then before I know it, like they're just another stack in my room. And then like I create a new stack for the stuff like that I want to get to, and then that stack gets bigger, and it's just a never-ending cycle. And so this is in my current stack, so hopefully like this will be a book like that I get to very soon. It sounds wonderful. So the next set of books that I'm going to be discussing are going to be coming out on February 11th. Most of the rest of these I have not pre-ordered yet. I'm debating on whether or not I want to get them for my Kindle, or like, if I just like kind of like want to try to find them like through other means, maybe an audiobook. And so like I'm not like really sure like what format I want to read these in, so I haven't really gotten around to either pre-ordering them or getting them, but I am very much looking forward to them. So I hope this helps you guys too if there's something on this list that you're interested in. So the next book is called In the Land of Men by Adeline Miller, and this is actually a nonfiction memoir about Adeline, who is living in the 90s in a literary world that's male dominated. And so this is kind of like her progression and her struggles with having to survive as a female in a male dominated industry. So she is struggling, and she actually was fortunate enough early in her career to get a job at GQ magazine. This is kind of her big break. This was her chance to prove herself. But GQ magazine like is very much male dominated, so we get to see kind of like her progression and her talking about her progression and everything through the literary world. It kind of like showed like that girls could do this job too. And this also is kind of like a highlight of unique moment in history where you get to see a woman do a male dominated role and actually prove that she's good at it. I really like the premise for this. I think it's going to be really good. So the next book that is also coming out on February 11th is Heart of Flames by Nikki Powell Preto. This is the sequel to Crown of Feathers. This is the second book in the series, and the first book, I haven't read this series yet, but I am anticipating it. This is another series that I'm kind of waiting for it to get the last book out, or at least have the last book announced before I'd really dig into it. But I am very excited to get around to the series when it finally is complete, because this is all about Phoenix Riders, and I have heard nothing but amazing and incredible things about this from every single person that has read this, which has really made me excited to read it. And the fact is that you don't see a lot of premises for characters who are Phoenix Riders. It's definitely like different than something that you would normally see in a lot of books. So I am just really excited to see as time goes on. I really want to see what people say about the sequel as well, kind of like their opinions on it, the overall ratings. And then, I can kind of make more of a decision about whether or not this is a series that I'm going to want to invest in myself. But as it stands right now, I'm very excited about this, and I know there's a lot of people who have already read the first book who are also very excited about this. So the next book, this is the only book on February 20th that I am excited about. This is Shorefall, which is Founder Book number 2 by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is another series I'm still waiting on for the whole thing, but these covers are just absolutely gorgeous. This has an epic magic system that's more of a steampunk kind of system, and once again, this is another series that I've heard nothing but amazing, incredible things about, and I am just in awe of how much everybody seems to be loving this. And not to mention you really don't see a ton of magic systems where there are people who are doing kind of like a steampunk kind of theme with it. And I'm really excited about that. Like, I'm really excited to see how like that plays out, because I like the idea that we mix fantasy and technology together to kind of create an epic fantasy. Because at one point, I feel like, you know, especially like back like in the early like 1600s, if you would have seen something like that had to do with a television or a computer or anything like that was mechanical and, you know, advanced, you would have probably have thought that was magic yourself before you knew what technology was. So I really am very fascinated with the exploration of magical systems with a steampunk kind of twist. So the last date we're going to go over is February 25th. There's 3 books on this date that I am very excited about that I do want to kind of bring to you guys' attention because they sound fabulous. So the first one is The Shadow Between Us by Tricia Levenseller. Alessandra's our main character, and she has 3 goals in mind. Woo the king, marry the king, and kill the king. The king is a shadow king. He can control shadows. Honestly, like, he kind of sounds like a Darken, you know, like from Nevernight. Like, they are very good at controlling the darkness and shadows, so it kind of makes me like wonder if it's going to be like along the same lines. And I loved Dark Dawn, and this is going to definitely not be an adult fantasy, but this is going to be a YA fantasy. And regardless, like, I really like the idea like that you can control things through shadows. So I'm really intrigued about the overall premise of this. But there's also kind of a twist on this too, where she was trying to kill the king at the beginning. She's finding out as time goes on that there are more people trying to kill the king. So she's actually trying to figure out how to keep him alive long enough to get the things that she wants out of him. So I don't know, like, I feel like there's going to be kind of a fun, quirky, like maybe a romance in this, or, you know, it's just, I don't know, like I just feel like there's going to be so much to get out of this, and I'm really excited, and it sounds really amazing. So the next book that is also coming out on February 25th is Red Hood by Elena K. Arnold. She is really good at, especially like, and I saw this when I read her other book called Damsel. She's really good at making a story extremely feminist and very like empowering. I took a look at this, and it really is a Red Riding Hood type of twist, whereas Damsel was more of a Sleeping Beauty type of twist. This is a Red Riding Hood type twist. And it sounds like it's going to be another female empowering novel that is loosely based off of Red Riding Hood. And honestly, like, that's really all I need to know. I loved Damsel so much because, like, she made me feel things in that. I was like on the same page. I felt a lot of empathy for the main character, and she was really good at kind of stirring up all those feelings. Her first book was very borderline YA. It should not have been a YA book. It was very graphic for a YA book, especially like with all the sexual stuff that she was including in it. And I have a feeling that maybe I hope that we get the same thing out of Red Hood, because with her first book she did get a lot of flack for the fact that it was more of an adult book, but it was in the YA section. And I don't feel like, and I get like why she got the flack, but like I don't feel like it's justified. I think that the book that she wrote before was hard-hitting and very straight to the point, and it was just really amazing. So I really hope that we get to see in this as well that same hard-hittingness, that same, you know, like, I'm not afraid to put whatever out there that needs to be put in the book to make this story come to full fruition. And so she really hit hard with Damsel, so I'm really excited to see how hard-hitting Red Hood's gonna be. Her first book was Damsel was definitely very kind of like hard to stomach a little bit, but I think it was because of the overall context of it. But it made some really important points about feminism and, you know, like not tailoring yourself to fit a man's perspective of who you should be. And I feel like those things by themselves she made such amazing points in Damsel itself. You really should check out Damsel, which is already out, and it came out a couple of years ago. And this book here I'm just so excited about, because I really hope that I get the same thing out of that book that I got out of Damsel, because that's one of the reasons why I fell in love with her, was because of all that hard-hittingness. So I'm really excited for this. I am going to be probably pre-ordering this pretty soon, because this is one book that I know for a fact I want a physical copy of. So the last book on February 25th that is coming out is Pretty as a Picture by Elizabeth Little. This has actually been talked about on Goodreads as one of crime books, most anticipated books for 2020. And it's described as, here's this from Goodreads, an egomaniacal movie director, an isolated island, a decades-old murder, an addictive new novel from the best-selling author of Dear Daughter. We have Melissa Dahl, who is a film editor, and she travels with a very famous director to a small island. And the director's name is Tony Rees. Then suddenly a girl dies while they're on the set in this remote island. And so she's, being a film editor, Marissa is just kind of doing her thing, you know, she's continuing to edit. She hasn't really come out of the film editing room. But when she does, she realizes that nothing is as it's supposed to be. Like, there's a lot of like things like that are going on that are really shady, and things just kind of start to go really wrong. I feel like also like this book is supposed to be kind of a satire too, because the last paragraph of the description of this on Goodreads is a wickedly funny exploration of cultural addiction to tales of murder and mayhem, and a thrilling behind-the-scenes whodunit pretty as a picture is a captivating page-turner from one of the most distinctive voices in crime fiction. So if it's supposed to be funny, I kind of feel like this might be a satire, and I kind of like dark satires, and we don't really see a lot of those. So this is another book that I'm really, really excited about. Alright guys, thank you so much. Those are all the books that I'm really excited about for the month of February. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys like this video, hit the little like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell icon if you guys want to receive emails every single time I post. I am also on Instagram, Twitter, Amazon, and Goodreads. Those links are linked in the description below. I also have a survey down in the description too. Tell me your opinion on my channel. I want to know. So thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys again very soon for my next video.